today is to my Moors, we need to talk. And let's understand what's really going on. All right. So I want to say this to those of you all who call yourselves Moors. First of all, I need you to understand something about how we operate here and how I operate. I don't speak about things or people that I don't desire in my dimension. So this is why there's certain things you don't hear me talking about. You don't hear me talking about the regular things that people are talking about in society. I don't get into that because there's certain beings and people that I don't allow in my dimension. And so if I'm speaking about you, it is because I care. It's because I love you. And I mean that. But if you're choosing to continue to walk in ignorance, then that's your choice. But I'm going to help you to understand today why I say this is not Morocco. We're going to clear up the facts about what happened. And we're going to hear things from the horses' mouths themselves so that we don't have to speculate what really happened in history, because there are people lying to you. And as I said, it's not just the Albion or the so-called white man that's lying to you. There are melanated people who are lying to you. And this is why it's important to start to recognize people's spiritual vibration. When I talk about that vibratory frequency chart, where are they vibrating? Because they might look like you. They might have the same skin color as you, but if they're vibrating on a lower vibratory frequency, you cannot build with them. And I don't care how nice and friendly and let's just all hold hands and love each other, they will tear you down. And just because somebody is not your same skin color doesn't mean that you can't build with them. I'm going to say this and then I'm going to get into what these facts are. As I've spoken about before, who we are on a spiritual level. I've spoken about who we are on a spiritual level. And, we are spiritual entities that are continuing to fight in here. But some of us have elevated ourselves spiritually, regardless of your skin color, your background, how much money you make, what neighborhood you live in. Some of us have elevated spiritually. Others of us have not. And if you are on a lower vibratory frequency, you're going to erase yourself. So anybody who's talking about destroying somebody or fighting with somebody, you're going to destroy yourself. So I don't worry about you or what you think you're going to do to me or UNA or anybody associated with our organizations, our friends, members, associates. We don't worry about that because we know that you're going to destroy yourself, and we're going to get into that today and see it for a fact. Okay, now let's go here. First of all, there was this character who was we had the session with last week. And we asked him some questions, and in true Moor fashion, he couldn't answer them because he doesn't really know the facts. And we're going to go into the facts tonight. Okay, what happened between the United States and Morocco? Let's clear it up. We're going to clear it up. We're going to go to the Moroccan embassy, and we're going to read, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to read. And we're going to find out exactly what happened between Morocco and the United States of America. Now, this character that was on, he says that the United States asked Morocco for recognition. That's what he said. Let's go to the Moroccan embassy and see what the Moroccan embassy had to say. And we're going to read this verbatim. And I think it's the MoroccanEmbassy.com or .org. Just type in the Moroccan Embassy and you're going to find this document. I'm going to flip the screen. All right. So this is coming once again from the Moroccan Embassy. Now, you can see it right here, the Moroccan Embassy. So when you type that in and you find the Moroccan Embassy, you'll see this page. All right. The 1786 Moroccan-American Treaty of Friendship, it starts. During the American Revolution, so many American ships called at called at the port of Tangiers that the Continental Congress sought recognition from the Emperor of Morocco that was accorded in effect with 1777, making Morocco the first country to recognize the fledgling American Republic. Negotiation of a formal treaty began in 1783 and resulted in the signing in 1786 of a Moroccan-American Treaty of Friendship. John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, both future U.S. presidents, were American signatories. This is the oldest unbroken treaty of friendship that the United States has with a foreign nation. See more on the early relations between the two nations below. Okay, that's the synopsis of what they said. This is on Moroccan Embassy website. All right, let me scroll down. All right, so we can get the whole story. We're going to read tonight. We're going to read tonight because I know some of y'all don't like to read, but we're going to read and find out what happened. Okay, so Office of the Historian, United States Department of the State. Now notice up here it's saying that during the American Revolution, so many American ships called at the port of Tangiers that the Continental Congress sought recognition from the Emperor of Morocco. All right. And they're saying that this was in accordance with effect in 1777 because that's when the United States of America Incorporated was created in 1777. That was a business, that was an organization. All right, and so they're saying Morocco was the first country to recognize the fledgling American Republic. Now, let's understand what really happened, and I'm going to read this so y'all pay attention. Morocco and the United States having a long history of friendship relationship. This North African nation was one of the first states to seek diplomatic relationships with, hold on, did y'all see that? Was one of the first states to seek diplomatic relations with America. In 1777, Sultan Sidi Mohammed bin Abdullah, the most progressive of the Barbary leaders, this was a Barbary state, who ruled Morocco from 1757 to 1790, announced his desire for friendship. He announced his desire for friendship with the United States. Pay attention to what I'm saying to you. He desired friendship. Let's talk about why. The Sultan's overture was part of a new policy he was implementing as a result of his recognition of the need to establish peaceful relations with the Christian powers and his desire to establish trade as a basic source of revenue. Faced with serious economic and political difficulties, he was searching for a new method of governing which required changes in his economy. They were so tired of doing hell against people, he decided we need to change. We need to lighten our hearts and we need to open up to these Christian people. All right, now, Britain was in there too. And remember, Morocco and Britain, they were in bed together. So if Britain was in the territory, Morocco was not going to march on the United States. They weren't. Morocco was going to stay back because they didn't want to hurt their relationship with Britain. But at this time, they sought recognition. They sought to recognize the United States. But let's understand what the United States was saying to Morocco at this time. All right, instead of relying on a standing professional army to collect taxes and enforce his authority, he wanted to establish state-controlled maritime trade as a more new, more reliable, regular source of income, which would free him from dependency on the services of the standing army. The opening of his ports to America and other states was part of that new policy. Let me go back up here, and it said he wanted to establish a state-controlled maritime trade as a new, more reliable, regular source of income. Are y'all reading that with me? Because the other guy was talking about how the Moors weren't under maritime. But this is coming from the Moroccan embassy, and it's clearly saying that the Sultan at this time, who was of Morocco, he wanted to establish a state-controlled maritime trade, more reliable and regular source of income. Okay, that's what I told you all these states were that Britain was creating. He was trying to get like Britain, because Britain by this time had created all of those colonies, and Britain was running on a state basis. So his idea was, well, shoot, they making a whole bunch of money and they don't even have to rely on an army. We want to make money like that. We want to be dealing with maritime trade. So this is what he sought to do. Okay, let me continue. This is coming from the Moroccan embassy. The Sultan issued a declaration on December 20th, 1777, announcing that all vessels sailing under the American flag could freely enter Moroccan ports. The Sultan stated that orders had been given to his concierge to let ships des Americains and those of other European states which Morocco had no treaties with, which Russia, Malta, Sardinia, Prussia, Naples, Hungary, Leghorn, Genoa, Germany, and he wanted them to be able to pass freely into Moroccan ports. There they could take refreshments and provisions and enjoy the same privileges as other nations that had treaties with Morocco. This action, under the diplomatic practice of Morocco at the end of the 18th century, put the United States on an equal footing with all other nations with the Sultan that had treaties. So let's understand this. Morocco went to the United States first. They didn't come to him, and I'm going to continue on and want to show you that the United States wasn't trying to do business with Morocco. By issuing this declaration, Morocco became the first state to acknowledge publicly the independence of American Republic. He was the first, Morocco was the first to recognize the American Republic. Let's recognize this. They are not the same. He is recognizing that's your territory, this is our territory over here, let's be friends. That's what this is about. On February 20th, and they didn't own America at any point. On February 20th, 1778, the Sultan of Morocco reissued his December 20th, 1777 declaration. American officials, however, pay attention, only belatedly learned of the Sultan's full intentions. Near identical to the first February 20th declaration, was again sent to all consuls and merchants of Tangier, Salih, and Mogador, informing them the Sultan had opened his ports to America and 9 other European states. Information about the Sultan's desire for friendly relations with the United States first reached Benjamin Franklin, one of the American commissioners in Paris, sometime in late April or early May 1778, from Etienne Duabert Cashapp or Collier, a French merchant sailed. All right, so I want y'all to pay attention to this time frame. He issued his memorandum in December 20th, 1777, and then he reissued that same thing on February 20th, 1778. All right, and then May 1778, Benjamin Franklin received it. Now, appointed by the Sultan to serve as consul for all the nations unrepresented in Morocco, Collier wrote on behalf of the Sultan to Franklin from Cadiz on April 1778. So here we are, almost a year later, offering to negotiate a treaty between Morocco and the United States on the same terms the Sultan has negotiated with other powers. Pay attention to this word, negotiate. This means that money is, or some kind of tribute or treaty is going to be, or money or booty needs to be in exchange for this treaty. So when we're talking about negotiation, we're talking about, well, how much money is going to pass, because remember, he's doing all of this because he wanted to make money without having to deal with an army. All right. So if April 14th, 1778, this is now Morocco saying, hey, we sending our guy Callier over here to negotiate with you. And so now, when he did not receive a reply, Callier wrote Franklin a second letter sometime later that year in early 1779. When Franklin wrote to the Committee on Foreign Affairs in May of 1779, so now we in the middle of the year of 1779. He started this back in 1777. He reported he had received 2 letters from a Frenchman who offered to act as our minister with the emperor, and informed the American commissioner that His Imperial Majesty wondered why we had never sent thank you or thanks to him for being the first power on the side of the Atlantic that had acknowledged our independence and opened his ports to us. Franklin, who did not mention the date, this is Benjamin Franklin, who did not mention the dates of Collier's letters or when he had received them, added that he had ignored these letters because the French advised him that Callier was reputed to be untrustworthy. Let me put this in my own words from what I'm reading and what you have just seen. Benjamin Franklin ignored the letters coming from the Sultan, or this guy Callier, who was writing on behalf of the Sultan. And the Sultan was like, well, why these people not coming back to us and at least saying thank you for the fact that we have recognized them on this side? Once again, if you have not subscribed, if you have not liked, I need you to do that. My people on YouTube, I need you to like, share, and subscribe, because we're going deep tonight. You get ready to see the proof. There's going to be no question about what happened. This is from the Moroccan embassy. Go to the website. Franklin stated that the French king was unwilling to use his good offices with the Sultan whenever, let me reread that. Franklin stated that the French king was willing to use his good offices with the Sultan whenever Congress desired a treaty, and concluded, whenever a treaty with the emperor is intended, I suppose some of our naval stores will be acceptable present, and the expectations of continued supplies of such stores a powerful motive for entering into a continuing friendship. So whenever a treaty with the emperor is intended, I suppose some of our naval stores will be an acceptable present, and the expectation of continued supplies of such stores a powerful motive for entering into a continuing friendship. So this is Benjamin Franklin, who is saying that he's thinking that this French guy, or that the Sultan, just wants to have access to the army and the power and the resources of the United States, so in order to continue the friendship. That's what Benjamin Franklin is saying. He's saying he doesn't trust this guy, and he doesn't have any desire to do business with the Sultan. And once again, this is in 1778. Okay, hold on, let me go back. Is that 1778? 1779. That's when he was saying this. So the main bilateral agreement. The Kingdom of Morocco and the United States have a rich level of framework over the years. All right, so we're understanding that this Callier guy, this French guy, was writing on behalf of the Sultan, and Franklin was not trusting him. Now, let me show you what happened. Let me see if we can find it in here. Franklin stated that the French king was willing to use his good offices with the Sultan whenever Congress desired a treaty, and concluded, whenever a treaty with the emperor is intended, I suppose some of our naval stores will be an acceptable present. And the expectation, he knows that they're going to have expectations for them to keep providing these things in order to continue supplies of such stores, a powerful motive for entering into a continuing friendship. Basically, Benjamin Franklin was snubbing Morocco's attempt at a peace treaty. All right. Once again, going back up here, His Imperial Majesty wondered why we had never sent thank you to him for being the first power on the side of Atlantic that had acknowledged our independence and opened his ports to us. Franklin, who did not mention the date of Callier's letter when he had received it, added that He ignored these letters because the French advised him that Callier was reputedly untrustworthy. Frank was working with the French. And he's stating here the French king was willing to use his good offices with the Sultan for Congress. Exactly what happened between the United States and Morocco and why this peace and friendship treaty came about. Once again, this is going to be a long session. Get your popcorn. Y'all should be taking notes because you Moors, I'm going to help you to understand. You people who are calling yourselves Moors, I'm going to help you to understand exactly what's going on and what the truth is and why you don't want to be calling yourself that. Okay.